to make a video, but one of you sent me a text message and I have to respond to it. I have to respond to it because it's the right thing to do. And I know that potentially it could cause me trouble because it has in the past. And, it's one of those things where it's something that has to be said because somebody else on the internet is pouring out misinformation. So, let me see here. Just give me a second. And I'm getting set up. If you're there, let me know. Give me a thumbs up. Okay. So, one of you sent me a text message and said, why don't I shout out to Candy Godiva anymore? Candy knows me. I've sent her gifts through her link, and they were never used or acknowledged, but she is aware of me. And I've tried to be a friend. It's kind of scary being her friend because if you disagree with anything she says, she has this one cup that she drinks wine out of, and it says on the side of the cup, the BLOOD of my enemies. And to her, an enemy is somebody who disagrees with her. And her fans are that way too. Whistleblowing, that type of shouting you down and all that. So to me, it's not worth it to risk trying to help her and getting a strike on my channel anymore and getting my channel locked up. And I need the internet because I'm bedridden and I have to order things from Amazon, blah, 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 and all that other stuff. But this is too important. So going back to one video where I had taken my time to look up swimming pools in her area that came with a coach, that came with a lifestyle coach that could help her with exercise and diet and all. And I was labeled a hater, a fat shamer, Okay. So then, she goes on this carnivore diet and she's eating eggs every day or every other day. All this cholesterol. She's eating hamburger and steak with butter on it. And she's losing weight, but at a terrible risk to her health. And so I tried to intervene, and I very kindly said, well, Candy, there are a bunch of 400-pound women in America. So you're not that far off from, improving your lifestyle. If, for example, you eat a piece of fruit before a meal to take the edge off of your hunger, eat a salad with a meal or get one of those juicer machines and juice up some carrots and beets and all that, since you don't seem to like vegetables. Get some swimming lessons. And I understand she got agoraphobia and all of that other stuff. My sister has agoraphobia, so I'm very familiar with it. And so This one lady excoriated me, and she sent me a text message. She said, anytime you text Candy with some advice, that she was going to copy a statement and just overflow my message board so that, which is essentially standing there blowing a whistle at me, keeping me from saying my piece. So it's not worth it. It's not worth it. But Candy's putting out a video how great the carnivore diet is, and she is losing weight. She's losing weight because her body can't use all of the things she's eating. So essentially, she's going into a starvation mode, but at a very big risk. So you don't take my word for it. This is from Sentient Media. Sentient, the word sentient means aware. Article January 27 of this year, 2023. And it says the carnivore diet, will it improve your health? Okay. Recently, a new fad, it's a fad diet, has taken the world by storm, the carnivore diet. Now, humans are not carnivores. The reason being is our intestinal tract is too long. And when you eat all of this meat, it rots in your gut. Okay? Animals that eat meat have very short intestinal tracts. So they eat the meat and it's processed and they poop it out. Simple as that. Humans aren't that way. By the time the meat works its way through our intestinal tract, it's rotten. Okay? It says, urged by celebrities, thousands of people have made the decision to try it. Most, if not all, of these people run the risk of developing severe gastrointestinal issues and dealing with the high costs and a rude awakening. What is a carnivore? Carnivores are animals that gain some of or all of their nutrients from the meat of other animals. The carnivore diet, if followed by a human, is made up of entirely animal-derived foods. This means breakfasts of bacon and eggs with no toast or bagels, lunches made up of burger patties, of which she's adding butter to, with no vegetables, no potatoes, no rice. Okay. Why is the carnivore diet suddenly popular? Because in recent years, carnivore diet has risen to prominence as a more extreme of other diets known as keto diets that place the body in the state of ketosis by the consumption of limiting carbohydrates. Ketosis occurs when the body has used up all of its glucose and begins to break down fat instead. Now, this diet is associated with heart disease, fatty liver, osteoporosis, atherosclerosis, hardening of the arteries, and let me see. I'm going through the stuff about celebrities, blah, 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 and all of that. But getting back to celebrities, because celebrities endorse this diet, the data is likely to be skewed. That means like Candy, she's saying, oh, it's wonderful. I went from 433 to 415. Okay. But the second she gets off this diet, she's going to gain everything back. And don't call me a hater. I'm just saying the way it is. And you get these people and anything goes. If you say any ridiculousness, everybody endorses it and says it's wonderful. You can say that you can get to Florida by taking I-95 to New York, and some smart aleck will say, yeah, you can get to Florida by I-95 North if you drive out to Kennedy Airport and hop a plane to Florida. That kind of ridiculousness. So you can't reason with these people. They're beyond reason. Is eating a carnivore diet healthy? The most vocal adherents to a carnivorous diet proclaim the many health benefits that they are experiencing starting to eat meat and animal products. And this is something that's pushed by that kook, Joe Rogan. The guy who had everybody lie in worms and that thing and eat bull testicles and all that other stuff. So, now Joe Rogan, all of a sudden, he said, well, he's had gastrointestinal issues and diarrhea while following this diet. Oh, by the way, he's got IBS and diarrhea. But see, he hasn't told anybody that. So, can humans survive on a carnivore diet? The human body is able to adapt and survive even when not provided with optimal nutrition, a balanced diet. So long term, it says here, humans cannot survive healthily consuming a fully carnivorous diet. Eating only meat and other animal products significantly increases the risk of heart issues, gastrointestinal issues, deficiencies in vitamins and minerals. Hey, Yellow, how you doing? So, I want to give a shout out to everybody who's helped me. I'm using Dibble Craftian's tripod to make this video so it doesn't have that Parkinson's shake. I had my coffee this morning in my Lucky Justin cup, and Terry is sending me a care package, and Katrina has helped me immensely. Cassie, oh gosh, the one person's got a Japanese name. I always have a hard time with that. And just a host of people. But this is too important. I love you all too. That's why I'm risking making this video to put it out there, that you're taking, and she has 27,000 subs. So when she says this, she's influencing a lot of people. And the thing that I don't understand, I got a strike for telling her about swimming pool lessons with a health coach and eating a salad or getting one of those juicer machines. I got all kinds of hate mail and stuff about being a fat shamer. And like I said, the one woman said, well, every time that I go to try and send Candy a message, she's going to block the message board by just typing in this gibberish and hitting enter, denying me my freedom of speech and promulgating this false thing about how healthy this carnivore diet is when it isn't. The whole thing is so ridiculous the people, once they get something in their mind, they have to block and cancel other people who are trying to bring the light of truth to the situation, you know. And Candy has a lot of issues by her own. If you watch, I've known Candy for years, and she has a lot of issues with 420 and depression and bipolar and all of that stuff. And I have prayed for her. People pray for her. And that's probably why she squeaks by, as so many people pray for her. But it gets to the point where it's not worth the risk to my channel and the aggravation and getting my blood pressure upset over somebody who's on a path of self-destruction, which this is. So, let me see. Eating a diet made up of all animal products results in deficiencies of vitamins A, C, B9, unless you also take supplements. Eating a carnivorous diet, consuming meat, especially red meat, has been tied to increased risk of heart disease. This risk is especially prominent in people who are already struggling with obesity or the elderly. Okay. The evidence is so strong that the World Health Organization includes processed meat in their cancer risk group with tobacco and asbestos. That's how cancerous they say eating a meat-based diet is. Following a carnivorous diet, you increase the likelihood of digestive issues, of which Joe Rogan has already admitted to. So, plant fiber is different from animal fiber, and this doesn't even mention gout and other things that you can get from eating other meats like chicken, because chicken is high in urine. So you eat a meat diet and red meat and chicken, you can cause joint pain and gout because of urea. Okay. Eating this diet can subject you to diarrhea and discomfort, but also long-term mental and physical issues. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. More about the famous people and all that get this stuff. Why is a carnivorous diet bad? There are many reasons. Increased disease, blood pressure, heart disease, fatty liver, vitamin deficiencies, scurvy. Scurvy is where your teeth fall out because you don't have enough vitamins. Your teeth fall out, you can get cancer of the jaw, But Candy and Joe Rogan say it's great. Candy takes advice from Nick Avocado, and they'll sit down and eat 6 dozen donuts together. And everybody's like, I read the comments and, wow, Candy, you're doing it. Go, girl, go. And she's influencing all of these people. And like I said, this is not Pop saying this. This is an article in Sentient, January 27th of 2023. Look it up for yourself. Don't take my word for it. This diet does not provide the fiber necessary to move the stuff through your long intestines. Like I said again, animals are suited for a carnivorous diet. Humans are not. So, eating a carnivore diet may come with serious consequences for the overloaded liver and kidneys, especially if they are already damaged, diseased, or stressed. It can lead to hypertension. Okay? And again, it already says, it goes back to saying the elderly and obese. And Candy is morbidly obese. This diet is difficult to maintain, and it's also expensive because of skyrocketing costs of meat, eggs, and all of that other stuff. So, let me see. Then it infers, parasites from like sausage and all of that other stuff. It says that this diet has serious implications for the environment. Because of raising hogs. They have hog farms where the pig poop runs into these great big lakes, and these lakes of filth just sit there and ooze pig poop. And then if it rains or something and those ponds overflow, then you get a great big rush of diseases. Meat consumption is connected to a 60% loss of biodiversity and consumes massive amounts of water, while also being a major contributor to greenhouse gas. Consuming meat also contributes to a vast amount of animal suffering. I saw one video by PETA, and this cow didn't want to go to the slaughterhouse, and they got a chain and they put around the cow's neck and the front of the cow, and they tased it and dragged it because it hears the other animals being slaughtered, and it knows what's going to happen, and it's pooping itself and all of this other stuff. And then they whack it in the head, or they cut its neck, and the thing is looking at like in disbelief, like, I'm a gentle animal, why are you doing this to me? They have feelings and everything, and they start cutting the thing apart even before the animal has passed. I mean, horrible. And the pigs the same way. They string them up and they start cutting on them even before the poor things had passed away. So there are a number of labor issues associated with meat production, like the hiring of illegal immigrants at poverty wages, and endangering underage illegal immigrants to clean up the mess in these slaughterhouses and stuff. So they get poor pay, they don't get enough training, and they have to live on the farm because they can't afford anything as far as having a place of their own. So they become indentured servants. Thank you, Candy. So, in any case, it goes on to a chart. It goes on to a chart after that, and it compares different diets. But everybody in this world is like, well, I heard that Candy says that this carnivore diet is wonderful. And again, I only have 700 and some subs, which really uh, doesn't make any sense to me because I have thousands of people that watch my videos, and I get text messages from Germany, all over the world, and everything. But you would think it would kill somebody to hit the like and subscribe button for Pop Pop's channel. I've been on YouTube for years and never gotten the little plastic frame that they give you and all, you know. But then you get somebody else, you know, you get somebody else, like Nick and his husband, and every other video, it's like the Dukes of Hazzard. It's the same thing over and over again. He's going blump, 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 blump to his closet, and he's going, and they're leaving each other, then they're getting back together, then they're leaving. He's got 1 million subs. Candy has like 27,000 subs. And my channel is always about helping people and all of this other stuff. And I got 700 subs, which isn't bad in and of itself because our channel is more personal. But the point I'm trying to make is I try and get good information out to people, and I get kicked in the butt, or I get a strike and this, that, and the other. And meanwhile, Nick is making these videos where he's doing the most vulgar, gross stuff, spreading eggs over his head and wasting food and stuff. And, some people consider that almost a hate crime, considering now a third of the world is starving. Used to be a fourth of the world is starving. Now a third of the world is starving. And Nick is making these videos where he's taking food and he's hitting it with a broom, and he's showing you that his clothes don't fit and all of that other ridiculousness. And people are like just eating it up, wow, that's the greatest thing. And then Candy, gets on there and she's like found a new diet and she's the new health guru, because she's listening to Joe Rogan, who, oh, by the way, hasn't told the truth that now that he's on this diet, he's got IBS and diarrhea. Oh, forgot to mention that, but that's the way people deal with now, is half truth. And like I said, if you say anything about it, you're automatically labeled as a hater and somebody who doesn't love the other person, who is an absolute train wreck waiting to happen, and is going to wind up being a prisoner in her own body. And like I said, people say, well, you can get to Florida by taking I-95 north to New York. Yeah, you can if you take I-95 north and you go to Kennedy Airport and then take a plane down to Florida. Yeah, smart Alec, but that's not what we're trying to say. In any case, I want to give a shout out to some really good channels. Generation 2434, he's a straight shooter, a loving guy. Tom at Watchman River is a great channel. Let me see, Canadian Prepper. Nate is agnostic atheist. He's got a great channel as far as knowing the real deal about how close we are to WW3. Then there's Grand Supreme News Channel and the Real GS News. Luis Santiago, wonderful young man who's really putting it out there, putting a lot of effort into his videos. He's opinionated. I don't always agree with him, but I love him as a brother. And he's got a speech impediment. I forget what it's called. There's a term for it where you say W instead of R. So if you go to his channel, I'm sure he's been teased a lot. Be polite, especially if you mention that Pop sent you. Other channels that are good are Full Spectrum Survival. I think his name is Steve and Kelly is his wife. They have good information. And then I watch Wehan Gravitas because the Indian news, they don't have any reason to lie like the American news people do. And they tell you the real deal. They tell you how the rest of the world is thinking about us. And then Behold Israel, Amir Sarfati is where I get my Middle East news. But things, fam, are really going to boil because coming up in August, the BRICS countries, which is Russia, China, Brazil, and another country, India, I think, they are having a meeting where they're going to abandon the US dollar. And so they're going to have a gold-backed currency like America used to have before Richard Nixon went to China and made his deal with China and took us off of the precious metals standard for the American dollar so that he could fund the Vietnam WAR all he wanted. They said that Nixon went to China as a diplomatic thing. Wasn't anything about diplomacy. He essentially went to China and took out a line of credit so he could spend as much as he wanted to, ad nauseum past our gold reserves. That's why Nixon went to China. It wasn't because of the goodness of his heart or anything like that. So all of these politicians have sold us out, but it goes way back to Richard Nixon. I'm not even going to vote this time. I have voted all the way back to Richard Nixon. Never missed a vote. I don't intend to vote this 2024 vote because it's not going to make any difference. America has suffered DEATH by 1,000 cuts. And even if the most gifted person gets in the WH, they're not going to be able to pull the plane out of the dive that we're in. And again, the reason being is half the world is giving up on the US dollar. That means that when these politicians go to sell essentially the US dollar is nothing more than a promissory note. So when these politicians overspend and they want to issue bonds for other countries to buy our debt, nobody wants to buy our debt anymore. America has gone from a AAA rating down to AA, and in August it'll probably drop again, which means inflation will go through the roof. Everything will be much harder to buy starting in August. You mark my words. I'm old. I've been through all this stuff before. I see the train coming. So food, gas, housing, all of that is going to go through the roof. And if you want a hedge of protection, what I do every month is I buy a couple of $100 of the poor man's gold, which is silver. And I pay everybody in silver rather than U.S. paper money, which pretty soon is going to be worthless. Mark my words. So starting in August, this country is really going to spiral, and they have people in office on purpose. Excuse me. They voted these people in on purpose who have depleted our petroleum reserves. You know, they've spent us into oblivion. They've given away our ammunition so that we can't defend ourselves. We can't defend this country. They've allowed a fifth column of young military-aged men, mostly, to come into this country. We have 5.4 million Chinese that are loyal to communist China. And when the time comes and we go to make a move to defend ourselves, they're going to be right there at our throats, because they've deposited them in all of the cities around the country. And I'm not a hater. I speak the better part of 3 languages. I speak English, Spanish, and a good deal of Hindi. So much that when I used to work up at the front desk, if they wanted to discuss something about the hotel, they would close the door so I couldn't hear about it. And I can lip read. That got me fired from Chrysler because the boss had gone outside and he was having a conversation standing over his car, talking on the phone. And when he came in, I stupidly recounted his conversation. And he said, well, how did you know? And I said, well, I was reading your lips. So that's how I know what's going on with the dealership. And it involved Barack Obama saving the U.S. auto industry, which he did. And he consolidated Dodge, Chrysler, Plymouth, Jeep into all one umbrella. So my Dodge dealership lost our franchise. And that's what the boss was discussing outside, was how he was going to try and rescue his dealership. And he didn't want people to know about that. So when I told him that, you know, when is all of this going to happen, he was hysterically angry. And he was like, well, you got to go. So he let me go. And then they tried to hire me back later on, but I'd already moved on. But it's just one of those things. You don't always want to tell what you found out about stuff. I learned that lesson the hard way. But it was a little bit of arrogance on my part to tell the man that I knew what he was talking about, because I had read his lips. And I had done a good job. I was right on the money, because he was really upset at that point. And then at that point, when he wanted to discuss something, he would get in his car and leave the dealership, you know. And a funny thing was, he went to the other dealership up the street to spy on them, because Chrysler had a requirement that all of these small garage-based and gas station-based dealerships have to build a great big building with a great big foyer and atrium and all that. So he went up the street to see how the Chrysler dealership was doing with their new building. And he pulled into the side alley on their lot. And in any case, their boss saw him spying on their dealership, and he got in a bigger car and came down and got nose to nose with my Dodge dealer guy and literally backed him out onto the highway. And he had already let me go, so I was just there at my desk getting ready to giddy up. And he came in, he was sniffling and everything. I said, "What's wrong?" Here I am comforting the guy that just let me go. And he said, "I went over to so and so's dealership in my Avenger, and the other guy, not mentioning his name because I don't want to be sued, got in his 300 and pushed my car out onto the highway." I said, "He pushed you out onto the highway? You were in a public alley. How did you allow him to do that?" I said, "If I had been there and he tried to push my car out onto the highway, he would have had to push it all the way from the front seat to the back bumper." I gotta go. This cough is called a cardiac cough, and it's when the lungs begin to flood out because the heart can't keep up with stuff. So, in any case, it was ironic that the guy who let me go at the Dodge dealership wanted my consolation because the Chrysler guy had pushed him out into the highway. But in any case, I love you all. I care about you all. And I got to go scoop my legs into the wheelchair and sit up for a few minutes and give my lungs a chance to empty out. But believe me, fam, take what I said seriously. It's time to prepare. And if you're in mommy and daddy's basement playing video games, waiting for somebody to tell you what to do, you're not going to make it. Love you. Pop out.